spanned continents, wars, and unimaginable loss, yet who never stopped believing in love. The beginning. In 1952, Margaret was born in a small village in southern China. Her childhood was simple. Rice paddies stretched as far as the eye could see, and her family had little more than each other, but that was enough. Her mother would sing to her at night, old lullabies passed down through generations, and her father taught her that kindness costs nothing, but means everything. When Margaret was just 17, everything changed. The Cultural Revolution swept through China like a storm. Her father, a school teacher, was labeled an intellectual and taken away one night. She never saw him again. Her mother grew silent, the songs dying on her lips. The escape. In 1975, at 23 years old, Margaret made the hardest decision of her life. She would leave China. She had married a kind man named David, and together they scraped together every yuan they had. With forged documents and hearts full of fear, they boarded a boat heading to Hong Kong, then eventually secured passage to America. The journey was treacherous. 37 people crammed into a space meant for 10. The smell of salt water and sickness. Margaret was pregnant with her first child, and every wave that rocked the boat made her wonder if they would make it. But they did. Starting over. They arrived in San Francisco with nothing. 2 suitcases, $47 in wrinkled bills, and a baby on the way. David found work washing dishes at a Chinese restaurant in Chinatown. Margaret, despite barely speaking English, worked in a garment factory, her fingers flying over fabric 14 hours a day. She gave birth to her daughter Lily in a crowded public hospital. When the nurse placed the baby in her arms, Margaret wept, not from sadness, but from hope. This little girl would never know hunger. She would never be afraid. She would be American. The sacrifice. For 20 years, Margaret worked those same grueling hours. She and David saved every penny. They never ate at restaurants, never bought new clothes, never took vacations. All of it, every dollar, every sacrifice went toward one thing: Lily's education. When Lily got into Stanford University, Margaret cried for 3 days straight. Her daughter, the child born in that crowded hospital, was going to one of the best universities in the world. But tragedy struck during Lily's junior year. David had a massive heart attack at the restaurant. He died before the ambulance arrived. Margaret was 52 years old and suddenly alone. The strength. Everyone expected her to fall apart, but Margaret had survived too much to break now. She worked harder. She visited David's grave every Sunday with fresh flowers. She made sure Lily finished school. And when Lily graduated and became a doctor, Margaret sat in the audience wearing the first new dress she'd bought in America. She thought of her father, the school teacher who valued education above all else. She thought of David, who washed dishes so their daughter could dream. And she knew it had all been worth it. The grandmother. Now, at 72 years old, Margaret lives in a small house in Sacramento. Her English is still imperfect, her hands still rough from decades of labor, but she is surrounded by love. Lily is a physician now, married with 3 children of her own. Every Sunday, they all come to Grandma Margaret's house. She cooks traditional Chinese dishes, the recipes her own mother taught her before the song stopped. And when her grandchildren climb into her lap, she sings to them those same old lullabies. Her youngest grandson, Michael, asked her once, "Grandma, were you scared when you came to America?" Margaret was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled, her eyes distant with memory. "Yes, baby, very scared. But you know what I learned? Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. Being brave means being scared and doing it anyway. For love, for family, for a better life." The legacy. Margaret keeps a small box in her bedroom. Inside is a photograph of her father, yellowed with age, David's wedding ring, Lily's diploma, and drawings from her grandchildren. Sometimes, late at night, she opens that box and touches each item gently. She thinks about that terrified girl on the boat, clutching her pregnant belly, wondering if she would survive. She thinks about all the pain, all the loss, all the sacrifice. And then she hears laughter in the next room, her grandchildren playing, speaking perfect English, safe and free and full of possibility. Margaret closes the box and smiles. She made it. They all made it. And that's all that matters. This story represents the journey of countless immigrant grandmothers who sacrificed everything for their families' futures, building new lives in America through courage, love, and unwavering determination.